Have you ever done something completely normal in your country and then realized it was totally strange to someone from somewhere else?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The World in English. I'm Jake.
And I'm Sofia. Today, we're talking about cultural differences, the fascinating ways that people around the world do the same things in completely different ways.
This is one of my favorite topics because culture is everywhere. It's in how you eat, how you greet people, how you think about family. It's in the smallest details of daily life.
And understanding cultural differences makes you a better communicator in English and in life.
So, Sophia, let's start with something everyone does every day. Food. How important is food in your culture?
Oh, Jake, where do I even start? Food is everything. Meals are not just about eating, they are about being together. In my family, Sunday lunch is sacred. Everyone comes. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. We sit around the table for 2, sometimes 3 hours.
3 hours? That's a long time to eat.
It's not just eating, it's talking, arguing, laughing, telling stories. The food is almost secondary to the conversation.
That's really different from how I grew up. In my family, meals were much faster, maybe 20 minutes for dinner. We ate, we talked a little, and then everyone went back to what they were doing.
20 minutes? That feels very short to me. Did you ever eat together as a family?
Yes, but it was more functional. You eat to get energy, and then you carry on with your day. It wasn't really a social event the way you describe.
I think that difference says a lot about how cultures think about time and togetherness. For us, slowing down around food is a way of showing love.
That's a beautiful way to put it. What about the food itself? Are there any eating habits in your culture that surprised people from other countries?
Yes, 2 things always surprise people. First, we eat very late. Dinner at 9 or 10 o'clock at night is completely normal, sometimes even later.
10 o'clock? I'm usually in bed by 10.
I know. And when I first heard that people in Northern Europe eat dinner at 5 or 6 in the evening, I couldn't believe it. I thought, but that's the afternoon.
For us, that's dinner time. For you, that's a snack.
Exactly. And the second thing, bread. We eat bread with everything. Every meal has bread on the table, and you never waste bread. If there is sauce on the plate, you use the bread to clean it up. It's called making the little shoe, scarpetta in Italian.
Making the shoe with bread?
You fold the bread like a little shoe and you use it to scoop up the sauce. It's considered a compliment to the cook. It means the food was so good you want every last drop.
I love that. In England, using bread to wipe your plate might be considered a bit rude, or at least informal.
Everything that's rude in one culture is completely normal in another. That's what makes it so interesting. What about greetings, Jake? How do people greet each other where you're from?
Very reserved. A handshake in formal situations, a wave or a nod with people you know, maybe a hug for close friends, but not always.
And kissing on the cheek?
Almost never between men. And between men and women, it depends on how well you know each other. It can feel quite awkward if you're not sure whether to go for a handshake or a kiss.
The awkward greeting moment. I know that feeling from the other direction. When I first moved to a new country, I went to kiss someone on the cheek as a greeting, and they stepped back.
Oh no, that must have been uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. I felt terrible. I didn't mean anything by it. For me, it was just a normal hello. But they were not expecting it at all.
It's such a good example of how small physical gesture can mean completely different things in different cultures.
In my culture, kissing on both cheeks is how you greet friends, family, even people you just met. It means I see you, I respect you, I'm happy to meet you. It's warm and inclusive.
And in my culture, that level of physical closeness is usually reserved for people you know very well. It's not unwelcoming, it's just different.
Exactly. Neither is wrong. They just come from different ideas about personal space and closeness.
That brings us to something I find really fascinating: family. The role of family is so different across cultures. Sophia, how important is family in your culture?
Family is the center of everything, truly. Major decisions, where to live, what job to take, who to marry, all of these involve the family's opinion. Not just your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, uncles, sometimes even your cousins.
And do you feel that as pressure or as support?
Both, honestly. Sometimes it feels like everyone has an opinion about your life and you just want to make your own choices. But when something goes wrong, when you lose a job or you're going through a hard time, that same network of people is immediately there for you. You never feel alone.
That's a really important point. The independence that some cultures value very highly can also mean feeling very alone in difficult moments.
Exactly. There are trade-offs in every cultural approach. What about family in your culture?
Much more independent. I left home at 18 to go to university and never really moved back. That's very normal. Most people my age did the same thing. You build your own life, your own home, your own routines.
And your parents, are they okay with that?
Yes, completely. It's expected, actually. Staying at home past your mid-20s would raise eyebrows in some circles. People might wonder why you hadn't moved out yet.
That's so different. In my culture, a young person living with their parents until they get married is completely normal and respected. It means you are close to your family, not that something is wrong with you.
It's a completely different framework for thinking about independence and family responsibility.
And neither is better. They both have beautiful things about them and difficult things about them.
Well said. Let's talk about some useful phrases for discussing cultural differences in English.
Yes, these phrases will help you talk about culture in a respectful and interesting way.
To introduce a cultural habit, say, in my culture, it's completely normal to, or, where I'm from, people usually. These phrases signal that you're sharing a perspective, not stating a universal truth.
To show curiosity about someone else's culture, try, "That's really interesting. Is it the same everywhere in your country?" Or, "I had no idea. How did that tradition start?"
To compare cultures without judging, use, that's quite different from what I'm used to. Or, I find that fascinating. It's the opposite of how we do it.
To explain when you do something that confuses someone from another culture, you can say, "I'm sorry if that seemed strange. In my culture, that's a sign of respect." Or, "That's just a habit from home. I hope it didn't offend you."
These phrases keep the conversation open, curious, and respectful. Culture is a topic where curiosity is always more useful than judgment.
Now, Jake, what is the biggest cultural difference you have ever personally experienced?
I spent 3 months working in Japan a few years ago, and the biggest difference for me was around silence and disagreement. In meetings, if someone disagreed with an idea, they very rarely said so directly. There would be a pause, maybe a slight change of expression. The disagreement was communicated without words.
And that was hard for you to read?
Very hard at first. In my culture, if someone disagrees, they usually say so quite directly. I don't think that's the right approach, or I have a different view. In Japan, that kind of direct disagreement can feel aggressive or disrespectful.
So you had to learn to read between the lines.
Completely. And once I understood it, I found it quite elegant, actually. There was a lot of information in what was not said.
That is a beautiful lesson. Communication is so much more than just words.
What about you, Sophia? What is the biggest cultural experience you have?
Mine was around time. I spent time in Germany for work, and the relationship with punctuality was completely different from what I was used to. If a meeting was at 2, people arrived at 1:55, not 2, 1:55.
And where you're from?
2 means somewhere between 2 and 2:30. Arriving exactly at 2 would actually feel a little strange, like you were too eager.
That must have caused some problems.
I was late to my first meeting, not very late, about 10 minutes, and the looks I got when I walked in, I wanted to disappear.
What did you learn from that?
That punctuality means different things to different people. From my German colleagues, being on time was a form of respect. It said, "I value your time." For me, a little lateness was just normally human. Neither of us was wrong, we just had different languages of respect.
Different languages of respect. I love that phrase.
Okay, let's finish with some practical tips for navigating cultural differences.
First, before you visit or work in a new culture, do a little research. Learn 1 or 2 basic customs. It shows respect and it prevents embarrassing moments.
Second, when something surprises you, stay curious rather than judgmental. Ask, "Is that common here?" instead of, "That's so strange."
Third, if you make a cultural mistake, and you will, apologize simply and move on. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Thank you for telling me. Most people appreciate the effort far more than the perfection.
Fourth, share your own culture openly. People love learning about how others live. Don't be shy about explaining your traditions, your food, your habits.
And fifth, remember that within every culture is enormous variety. Not every person from the same country thinks or behaves the same way. Culture is a starting point for understanding, not a set of fixed rules.
Every person you meet is a unique mix of where they're from, how they were raised, and who they have chosen to become.
That is the most important thing to remember.
Tell us in the comments, what is one cultural habit from your country that might surprise people from other countries? Write it in English. We would love to read it.
If this video helped you practice your English today, please give it a like and subscribe to The World in English.
Share it with a friend who loves learning about culture and language. See you in the next video.
And remember, curiosity is always the right response to difference. Bye, everyone.
Bye.